Welcome to Perception versus Reality Sports and Culture, where we cover sports from a different angle and bring you topics most podcasts and radio shows will not cover. I'm your host, Rodney870, and welcome my co-hosts, Neely, Mr. Sports IQ, Lemuel, aka Limwood, and Stanley, known on Instagram as Third World 870. Please enjoy this PvR clip and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Welcome to another edition of PvR Sports and Culture. This is episode 5. I have here with me Neely Vance and Lemuel Smith. We're going to be covering a couple of topics today. The first topic we're going to cover is a recap of March Madness first weekend. And we had some upsets, we had some tight games, and we had some games that went that pretty much ended, or the results were what we thought they would be. Going into the second weekend, we have Duke, who pretty much dominated the first game against North Dakota State, and then had a nail-biter versus UCF, winning the game 77-76 on a nail-biter last-second shot that rimmed off for ULC. We had LSU pulled off a tight victory on a buzzer-beater versus Maryland. We had Michigan State, who dominated Minnesota after the big issue where Tom Izzo, was in a player face and pretty much was like just over dramatic on a play where the team was already up by maybe 10 points or 15 points. So they move on to the Sweet 16 versus LSU. We had Gonzaga to move forward and to the Sweet 16, and these guys just somehow continue to, even though they're number 1 seed now in the past, even when they were number 5, number 7 seeds, they made it to the Sweet 16. So it's just a great tradition there. You have Florida State, who defeated my sleeper that I thought was going to the Final Four, Murray State, and John Morant. John Morant had a really good first 10 minutes, and he struggled the rest of the game, ended the game with 28 points. But those guys were eliminated by Florida State handily. Florida State were big inside and were able to make 3-pointers to pretty much put Murray State away. And you had Michigan. Michigan will be in the Final Four, and they're waiting tonight to see who they'll play. Buffalo versus Texas Tech, which one of those teams will win to advance to play those guys in the Sweet 16. You had UNC. They're going to play. This, to me, is the toughest Sweet 16 game with UNC and Auburn, because Auburn is very hot. They won the SEC tournament, and they've been on a roll lately, so that's going to be a tough game. You had Virginia to make it through the Sweet 16, and they're waiting to see a game of Cinderellas, Oregon versus UC Irvine. I think that's the name of it. Nova lost to Purdue. Purdue advances to the Sweet 16 versus Tennessee. And you have Houston. I predict Houston going to win, but Houston is playing against Ohio State tonight, if I'm not mistaken, to see who's going to face Kentucky, who struggled with Wofford. Is that how you say it, Wofford? In the round of 32. Beating them by 6 points. So with that said, first weekend of NCAA tournament, my thoughts are the NCAA tournament was lucky that Zion was able to escape with the win, because ratings would have plummeted had they not won, because you lost the other superstar in the tournament, John Morant, who was dominated. I think this tournament has been pretty good. It's been very predictable, because although I lost some games, you hadn't seen really any crazy upsets. I think Oregon beat Wisconsin, but Oregon was a good team, and UC Irvine was a 13 seed to beat a 4 seed in Kansas State. You had Murray State, a 12 seed, to beat a 5 seed Marquette. I don't really think that was an upset, because they had the best player on the floor. And then you had Liberty to upset Mississippi State, which was a surprise there. So I think all in all, the tournament first weekend was a success, because you got Duke through, Virginia, Tennessee, UNC, and Michigan. And I think those are the teams in Gonzaga. Those are the teams that the NCAA is, hoping, that can make it through to the Elite Eight, to the Final Fours, to keep the ratings up. Some good play. Nothing really spectacular. I think John Morant game was the best game to me over the weekend against Marquette. The kid had 17 points, 15, 16 assists, 12 rebounds, recorded a triple-double. It was impressive because he was passing guys open and he was making plays for other guys and making it easier for his teammates versus a number 5 seed in Marquette. You had him scoring 17 points on only 9 shots. And he made a couple of big shots in big key moments to push the lead. So I think that was the best game to me so far in the tournament. Neely, what's your recap and what's your take on the first couple of weekends of this tournament?
Yeah, man, like you said, to me it was kind of exactly what the NCAA would have wanted. It has kind of some close games. Like you said, they needed certain players to survive. They definitely needed Duke to advance. And shit, with my bias, of course, I wanted Duke to advance. But like you said, with John Morant kind of going out, you don't really see that sleeper team that can kind of get that excitement there. So you kind of just have the people that are, pro UNC, pro Duke, pro Kentucky, stuff like that. So you got the sides of, a lot of people wishing and wanting Duke to lose. And then you got the people that want to see how far that Coach K can go with these freshmen. Again, I do think, like I said, when the tournament first started, it's going to be a lot of parity. Like, I can see a solid 6 or 7 teams that I wouldn't really be surprised if they won. And you got enough of the blue bloods still around. The only blue bloods that you really lost is probably Kansas. And then they ran into a really, really high Auburn team. Like you said, those guys are shooting threes like crazy. They play kind of reckless, so it's even fun to watch them. So even though they knocked off a team like a Kansas that have a big crowd following, Auburn's just an exciting team to play. Like, I've seen them play that little guard they got, number 1, dude can kind of shoot the lights out. He pulls them real deep. So overall, the tournament has been good, man. I think everything that the NCAA would have wanted as far as a couple of close nail-biting type of games, a few blowouts here and there, and then having the right teams and the right fan bases to still advance to make it exciting for the second week going into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 is good. Like, even if teams start to lose next week, like, say, Duke gets knocked off by some chance and they don't make it to the Final Four, or North Carolina, it's still enough teams mixed in now to where I think you'll get enough excitement. You got the young team in Duke, you got veteran teams with like Tennessee or Gonzaga. So you got a mixture of everything, man. Like all times, usually with March Madness, some of everything is there for each type of fan to be attracted to. So I think it's all good right now.
That's what's up. What do you think about Duke team? Hold on real quickly. What do you think about your Dukies win tonight? Because I know you're a big fan of Duke. Do you think this is scary going into the next round, or do you think, hey, good thing we got past this game, forget it, move forward?
Yeah, it's scary in general. I mean, just because you kind of want to see Duke dominate at this point in the year. I gave them kind of a pass a lot of times through the year with them being young and saying they were freshmen. At this point, I was wanting to see them kind of exert their will a little bit more. But, at the end of the day, with the tournament, you just want to survive and advance. They did have a lot. Taco Fall 7-6. So that's just something you're not going to run into. That was something that could kind of counteract the driving that you're going to get from RJ and Zion. And then they were pretty hot, man. They were knocking down some threes. They had the one guy, the coach's son, Dawkins' son, was going berserk. So, at the end of the day, you just want to have more points than the other team. If it can't be pretty at the end, you just want the W. From a fan side, I want it to be comfortable. I want to win by 12 to 15. We dominate the entire game. I feel good going into the next weekend. But at the end of the day, you really just want to win. So
Absolutely.
We'll take it.
What are your thoughts on the tournament so far, Liam?
Well, it's probably kind of going as I expected. One thing I want to get to is the mid-majors and the impact of the mid-majors. I was debating this in a group, and to me, now more and more that I see on these tournaments, and you could get a mid-major that probably get far, but when have we actually seen a mid-major win it all? Like, it don't happen. And it kind of reminds me of NCAA football, where everybody's talking about, playoffs, we need 16 teams. But when it really comes down to it, it was like number 1 Alabama and number 2 Clemson. Like, it's pointless. And so some parts of me with the tournament, I kind of think sometimes it's good for upset, it's good for bracketing, it's good for from Las Vegas from that standpoint. But in actuality, the 11 seed ain't gonna win it all. And me being a competitor, I don't like doing something where we know we're not gonna win. Like I rather them have a whole mid-major tournament for the mid-majors, and have me say, if I'm UAPB, I want to prove that I could beat a Murray State or a team that, because I know it's somewhat possible that I can beat them. I have no chance of having to beat Duke one night, and then the next time I play, I got to come out and then I got to play Kentucky. I'm not going to do that, for a consecutive game. So I want, do we care about them not having any shot at all, or is it just something where, hey, that's just how it is, we don't really care? Or do we think there should be something changed to allow them to have some type of even just a mid-major tournament for them, and then the winner of the mid-major tournament play something else or something ridiculous like that? Because I don't really get up for it because I know you're not going to win it. Like, even this team, Liberty, they won. Okay, good. Hit me up when you're in the Final Four. Like, because you're going to lose. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea, like you said, Lim, if you had, the mid-majors, they had a tournament. But I would at least, if that team won the tournament, I would want you to insert them directly into, the Sweet 16 and then give them a chance where maybe they can run off in those three teams and steal a title. I think it would be hard to completely push them out with the way that players are now. You always have a few players on those mid-majors that end up in the league and they playing, looking great. You had my guy from Lehigh a few years ago that beat Duke McCollum. Back in the day, you had Lillard at a small school, like Morant this year at a small school. You still want to get those guys to me that David versus Goliath chance. I would have loved to see John Morant just play Duke. Even though I expect Duke to beat Murray State by 20 to 30 points, I just like to see him, to see how much could come out of him trying to defeat that type of team.
But I've always wondered too, Liam and Neely, what would this tournament be? What level could you take it to if, say, a team like Arkansas, who didn't have a great season, but let's say they were 15-14 and they were the number 16 seed team? How deep would this tournament be? How deep would this tournament be if Texas, who was 17-14 or 17-13 and had some tough wins this year and could knock off a top team, was a 14th ranked team? Because we have these upsets, but it's almost like a 10% rate. If you had teams like that at the bottom of this tournament, them upsets would be at a 30%. It would almost double, 30 to 35% rate.
Yeah.
You would get these upsets. It would make the tournament tougher. Go ahead.
A lot of those mid-major teams could likely beat Arkansas. Though, I would favor Murray State to beat Arkansas. If they played the best out of 5, I could see them beating them. A close 3 out of 2 or something like that, or 3-2 or things like that. I feel like it would be hard to completely write those teams off. And we've seen, the Cinderellas, like you said, nobody really expects them to win it. Usually, I don't think anybody's probably lower than a 5 or 6 seed has probably ever actually won the tournament. But it is exciting to see, some of those teams kind of make their name. Like you said, years ago, Gonzaga was just one of the mid-major teams that was always kind of around, and now they're recruiting up. They always around. Now they have 1 seed coming in, and you really think, look, Gonzaga got a chance. Butler almost beat Duke a few years back. Some of the mid-major teams get in, depending on how powerful they are, and then they can kind of hold their own. So I wouldn't like to see them go away. Maybe if they had some other little tournament and you only put in, maybe 2 or 3 of them because, those are kind of the elites out of the mid-majors. But it would be hard for me to make an argument to completely get rid of them, to put the bottom feeders of, if you would have put Clemson in and Arkansas in, all these teams at the bottom of their conferences, they got dogs through those conference tournaments. Definitely they're going to get dogs when they playing all the best players, all the best teams from all the best conferences. So, that's just kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I get you. You got something else you want to add to that, Liam?
No, I'm with that.
Okay. What about now? What predictions do you guys see and move into the next round? We have some of the matches that are set. We have Purdue versus Tennessee, and we have UNC versus Auburn. We have look like LSU versus Michigan State, Gonzaga versus Florida State. Out of those games, what are your predictions and why? Liam, let me know. Liam, you go first. Let me know if you need me to announce the matchups again.
I like Florida State. I don't know the other matchup you said, but Florida State is very athletic. They always have like real athletic teams.
Yeah.
Their wings are long. They're always able to get their own shot. Florida State is always dangerous because when you match up against athletic teams that are long and they can score, it's just difficult for a lot of these teams that have a college style system where it's just about a bunch of spot up shooters who really can't get their own shot. It makes it tough for them. Gonzaga is a good, solid team, but they don't have that guy on the wing that can just go get it, and that's a scary matchup for them. So I like Florida State in that matchup.
Yeah, I feel like Gonzaga got a bad draw with Florida State too for that exact reason. I was talking to Rodney about this with Florida State playing Murray State. On top of their athleticism, they're big. And a lot of times Florida State will have one or two players like that. Their entire team is big. Now, if they make a shot, Florida State one of the scariest teams in the tournament altogether to me. Now, I do have, my ACC bias with me, leaning so heavy towards Duke. So I damn near got ACC teams in the whole Final Four, honestly, though.
Got you. What about the another game I like is UNC and Auburn. In that game, I favor USC because I need USC to make the Final Four so I can at least have 3 teams. But man, I'm loving Auburn being hot, coming through the SEC tournament, putting off 2 good wins this weekend. What do you think about that game, Liam? Can you see Auburn pulling off the upset there?
I like Auburn. I like Bruce Pearl. And by the way, Arkansas right now do not know what they're waiting on. They should fire Mike Anderson, hire Rick Pitino. It looks like Alabama's going to hire Rick Pitino.
No.
Go get a top coach, but they in talks. Go get a top coach like Bruce Pearl that's available. See, when you're a program that's down, you got to get a coach that's a great coach, but he's on his downside, for whatever reason. Yeah, that's what happened when they got Bobby Petrino. He went to the NFL, worked for him, but he was an elite college coach and he was available. So, Bruce Pearl, man, he can really coach, and I think Auburn is a team that will be very, very dangerous. I think they're shooting to get cold at some point.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, that's the thing. They're shooting to get cold. I think their team is good, but I don't know if they that good to beat North Carolina. Because I'm really impressed. But, man, I've said, over the years, Roy Williams really wasn't a top-notch coach. Man, for him,
Roy cussed his ass out this year.
For him to beat Duke twice, and even when they didn't have Zion, he had 2 top 6 NBA draft picks, and he don't have and he has really evolved. His last national championship, he didn't have a big time star. So, North Carolina, pretty good team, man. That ACC, other than Virginia, I don't like them because they play too slow. But in the ACC, man, there's a lot of good teams in the ACC, top-notch teams. So I don't know about that with Auburn. I like them, but if they get cold and Roy Williams out coaching, it's gonna be tough on them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the one thing that scares me with Auburn playing North Carolina. Now they can easily shoot anybody off the court. They get hot enough, they shooting about 40% from 3, and they make 15 of them. They can beat anybody in the country. But if they go a little bit cold, I don't know if they got the inside firepower, the inside presence to deal with Luke May, Cam Johnson, some of them down low.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. What about last game? I want to get a prediction from you guys. Purdue, Tennessee. That seems to be a tough game. A 2-3 matchup. Sweet 16. Tennessee has been a tough team all year. Lost in the SEC championship to Auburn, but they did beat Kentucky in the semifinals. Do you think Purdue has a chance there, or do you think Tennessee keep rolling through? Liam,
I got Tennessee in the matchup, man. I really like this Tennessee team. They're inconsistent to me at times, but they got 2 vets that's leading them. The Williams kid, the big light-skinned dude, I think that's his name. And I actually think Admiral Schofield, whatever his name is, I actually think he's the best player on the team. So they got those two dudes, and then I like the peskiness of their point guard. Like Tennessee to me is real dangerous. Like that's a team that I can see, winning it all, and people are somewhat surprised, but they got veteran leadership. Again, Purdue I think is one of those shooting teams. They're gonna have to get hot shooting. If they all, it's kind of how I used to feel about a couple of Duke teams. As much as I would love some of the Duke teams, but it's like, man, if JJ Redick kind of off, like we could easily lose this game by 10 or 12 points. So I feel like if Purdue come out there and their shooter's not really on, Tennessee can give them hell on the inside, like just pure hell. And they athletes are good the way they move. Tennessee is the matchup I'm actually kind of scared of Duke running up on just because of how their athletes could move with Zion and RJ. But I think Tennessee definitely should be able to beat Purdue outside from Purdue again, getting just real hot and taking over the game that way.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead, Liam.
The Tennessee quickly. I always shy away from teams like Tennessee, Virginia, teams that have like a bunch of seniors, but they really ain't got like that one guy that's like an NBA star talent player that can take the game over. So if they run into a good team, like do they have a guy that can actually really get his own shot, or does he actually get a lot of points on hustle points and teams playing zone in the SEC and they just trying to open the zone? Like, do they actually have a real talented guy on their team? I think they're a good, solid team, but what always hurts Virginia is they solid in the season, but when you get to tournament, they really can't get their own shot. They score in the 50s, they college basketball, and sometimes in the NCAA tournament, you find a guy that's hungry, he coming at your head. They ain't really got nobody like that. But,
I do feel like this year, I feel like Tennessee, I feel like Virginia got, like that RJ Hunter guy they got. I think dude is nice. Like, I think he should be a lottery pick. I think he's going to be one of the better players in the country. I don't know if he just got that pure dog mentality that sometimes you want to see, especially come tournament time, like the mode that Kimber turned on a few years back when he played, stuff like that. Yeah, he might not have that in him, but he's definitely talented enough to lead the team to me.
Oh, right, yeah.
Gotcha. That's a good review. I think we covered the first weekend pretty well. You got a couple more games to finish up, so they'll finalize the Sweet 16 here in a couple of hours. But I think we touched on the main games and the tough games coming up in the next weekend. Thank you for listening to the PvR Sports Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch new episodes and PvR clips. Like our Facebook page and share with your friends if you enjoyed this podcast. As we say in the South, catch you later.